It's nice. Okay. I believe that we need a new transparency policy because when I tried to get to verify and review the documentation provided by the administration prior to us approving a board bill and an invoice, we've been met with great insubordination and obstruction. So I want to recommend to the board that we make sure that our administration, that we abdicated our authority to hold the bills and invoices prior to payment, that holds these disbursements prior to our authority to make the disbursement, that we should be able to review them for a reasonable amount of time and not just 1 hour, which I think is unacceptable. So I'd like us to adopt a new transparency policy that says the administration will make all payments and disbursements of public funds available to the board of directors prior to the meeting for at least 4 hours. And I think 4 hours is reasonable.
You're beating your head against the wall with this with me because Larry's not here and I'm not sending something out of policy that doesn't have a policy majority.
I understand that, but I'm going to make the recommendation anyway.
All right.
And but I want to have the discussion of what else do you need to make sure that, because right now we don't have that access. How many hours did you have to look at the bills? How long did you get to see them?
I believe it was from, 12 to 1?
There was an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, now, did you feel that was long enough? Did you show up and look?
No, I did not. I look at the register that comes out, and those bills, most of those bills, I know what they are. Now, if I look at a bill, and it's been approved by the teacher that said they got 10 textbooks, okay? And they sign off that they got 10. How will I know if they got 10? And let me tell you something, if teachers don't get what they ordered, they will let the business manager know. I know that for a fact.
Agreed.
So how do I know, by looking at a bill, if it's signed off by the teacher, by the principal, by the supervisor, how do I know that those 10 books were received and I didn't get 9? How do I know if I shouldn't pay that bill? If I know who those vendors are and what they sell, my looking at that bill tells me nothing. It tells me there's a bill for this. How will I know if that's right or wrong? Those things have been eaten, used, distributed, whatever. How can I verify that that bill is correct?
Let me ask you a more important question.
No, answer me that first.
I will, but let me ask you the first question that leads up to that. Because the more important question is,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm still waiting for the title definition to be answered.
Yeah.
What title?
Back before, when you said you're going to explain that, I believe that was
Yeah.
the definition
The
of
title.
Title I.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I said the idea in explaining it is that I'm going to ask my subordinates to teach me and tell me, just like I'd ask a lawyer that I hired or ask them to teach me the law, teach me how this works. And then I would listen to them, and then I'd gain other information from other people that are not my direct subordinates to make sure that I get a verifiable information, and then I'd go from there. So if my solicitor tells me that you can't do this, I then go check with maybe someone else. Third-party verification, it's what you're supposed to do. Now, as far as your book analogy, right, I like it, but let me ask you the first question, it's way more important. Why did that person buy 9 books?
And how would I know that by looking at the bill?
Excellent. And now the next, so someone had to request it and authorize it and then get them, right? And who authorized the disbursement of funds to buy 9 books?
The purchase order goes through. The purchase order is approved
Right.
by someone.
The budget's.
I know, but back up. Who authorized the purchase of those 9 books? Who's the authority, the legal authority to consume and disperse those funds for those books?
So you're telling me that the...
I just asked the question. What do you understand it to be?
What do you mean, what do I understand it to
So
be?
I'm asking a question.
If 9 kids need a book
Right?
and they order 9 books,
Excellent.
the authority comes from the teacher, the principal, the business manager, whoever signed off on all of that.
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The authority comes from you as a board member.
So they're supposed to call me if they need 9 books?
No, ma'am. How many years have you been on this board?
Dave, don't get condescending.
I'm not condescending, I'm asking a question because I just want to answer.
I've been on as long as you, a little over a year.
Excellent, okay, so I had to learn myself. So I'll tell you what I was taught. It's not condescending, it's just verification, I don't want to go back too far. So I learned from reading the Pennsylvania School Code that the disbursement of funds is only authorized by a board. A majority board in a sunshine compliant meeting, Mr. Tack, right? Sunshine compliant. And then they have the authority to do something. Now, we give the authority to our administration through the process of budgeting. Now, without an accurate budget to make sure that 9 books are on the budget, he has no authority, zero, to do that job. So when we, as a board, allowed our administration to write the budget, that's when you gave him that authority to allow the business manager to spend those funds, create a purchase order, buy the books, receive the books, confirm that they're received, and that they're actual books within our curriculum and were given to students. And that's your job to make sure that the money you decided to put in that budget, when you and I and our 9 people created the budget, that we're going to give these people this amount of money to do this job, and then it's their job to do that job in accordance with the policy, make sure there's a purchase order, make sure there's a recommendation. Someone should double check it to make sure it's within the curriculum, right? You don't want to buy books that are not within a curriculum just because that teacher likes that book, right? You want to make sure that someone has authority to buy that book. They can't go all willy-nilly. This is a government agency. We got to make sure people do it right. There's checks and balances in the system. When you abdicate your authority to write the budget, and you abdicate, rubber stamp everything you're talking about, which is what you just described, you've removed that authority. And these people, the stakeholders that gave you the money for you to be a good steward, is expecting you to do this job. And the fact that you are not, I'm trying to motivate you to do it. Or I'm going to ask for your resignation because it's
Do that
wrong.
all the time.
Because
That's old news, Dave, and I told you that's not gonna happen, so let's skip that.
Because you need to do your job. I'm educating you to do your job. And if you don't do it, right, they can seek your removal and they have authority over you. We're subordinate to them, public servants. 10 of them can tell you that you're not only do you not know your job, you're not even doing your job, you're
They can
neglecting
tell
your
you the
duty.
same thing.
Say it
They
again.
can tell you the same thing.
Exactly right. That's why I want to make sure that we do our job by not abdicating our authority to these people without having some verification, without having some understanding of what did we abdicate, right? Because right here it says you've given up the authority. You give it to them. You delegated it to someone else. In your policies all over the place. So when you say a broken record, yeah, almost every one of our policies shows an abdication of authority without any verification. And I'm trying to correct that. I'm going to fix this government from its immoral actions that you and the other board members take. That's my job. So, I'd like to have a new transparency policy that allows us to review those bills for more than an hour so that we can see them and at least verify they were books within our curriculum, they were paid, they were received, someone signed for them, and that the process within a budget, and a budget line item was none, because they're not allowed to use their light budget to buy books. You know that, right? I mean, so we have to verify that they're not stealing funds from one place to another. And it's very tempting when you're trying to help kids and say, hey, how can I do this? When they really have a responsibility to come back to the board, ask us for more money in a budget or allocation of more funds, and then it's our responsibility to do that. We've got to reopen the budget because we made a mistake that we don't have enough for this, and we got to fix it. And that's our job. That's why those people elected you, because you can't have all of those people doing that job, but we have to be transparent enough that they can check that we're doing our job. And that's what I'm here to fix. So I'm asking for a new policy that allows us a 4-hour window, which I think is fair, to review all of the invoices, documentation. And if I see somebody with a rubber stamp on a bill that they didn't actually sign their name to it, I'm going to have a fit. Would you have a fit if someone rubber stamps a bill instead of signing their
I've
name?
never seen somebody rubber stamp a bill.
I understand that, but if you did, would you be
I
upset?
don't know what a rubber stamp.
Yeah, like a rubber stamp, like you buy a stamp with their signature on
What
it.
that is, but I don't know what.
They do that. Would you want someone to do that with our authority? Have their signature made? Would you like Mr. Cleaver to have a signature made that says Jonathan Cleaver, that anybody can pick up and go, signed? Or would you want his ink to make sure that it's on the bill? Which one would you rather see?
I told you I've never seen.
I know that, but if you did, what would you do?
What does it matter?
It matters to me.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Dave. A lot of things matter to me too.
I know.
And they don't happen. People in hell want ice water too. Nothing matters, you know?
Well, it does. If you're the authority and you want to oversee somebody, do you want to give that person a stamp with their signature on it that anyone can use, or do you want to make sure that they sign something themselves? It's common sense.
I've
What do you
always
think?
had people sign something themselves.
I would
That's
agree.
all I'm gonna say.
Right, and that's to me the right way to go, correct?
Do you?
Okay, so you agree that we should remove anyone using a stamp to sign their
I didn't
name?
say that. I didn't say
Oh,
that. I
you
said
think
I've
it's-
never seen that.
If I showed you one, would you agree? If I showed you a bill that people were rubber stamping, would you agree?
Okay, who
There may be
represents
bills
what?
that get approved though, that go through the approval process.
Yeah.
And get a signature on them. I mean, I
They have
can't,
to get a signature on them, right? Everything has to be approved, there's a process,
right.
they have to sign
It
it.
still doesn't mean that something doesn't get generated with signatures, like
No,
electronic
and-
signature.
That's fine.
Once
I'm
it
not-
goes through the process.
Yep, I'm talking about physically verifying it and then stamping it instead of signing it, or
But
putting their
there's-
initial, or
but
putting their
there's
mark.
There may be things that go through that have an electronic signature.
I have no
after
problem with
they-
that. I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about a physical stamp.
But the electronic signature may then, transparent, put a signature on
I have no
something.
problem with that, sir. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the person that receives the goods.
I
The person that,
I don't know how you would
I understand
tell the
that.
difference, though.
but here's how you do it, watch. So when the person received the books, Rita, you want somebody to ink the receipt of the books. And you and I should be able to verify that it's an ink signature, somebody that we can trust has done it. And if we're concerned about it, you can always call the person and say, hey, Susie, did you sign for 9 of these, right? And then the answer is yes.
I would recommend if it's something with bills that it goes through the finance committee.
It does. But my point is, if someone's receiving goods, they should sign it with an ink signature. Do we agree with that? And that ink signature should not be a physical thing they bought at Staples that says their name on it, that they push a plunger on, and it stamps their name on it, that anybody can use to sign someone else's name. Do we agree with that?
I will agree with that, but
Excellent.
we're not, we need to deal with this because it's bills, probably through finance. And
No.
again, I am
Policy.
not making a policy without
Policy.
Larry knowing what's going on.
Why? Is Larry
Because
any
there's no
more?
We
majority.
could recommend that.
Hold on a
I
second.
disagree
We both
with you.
agreed.
We have no breaking vote.
But you agreed that they shouldn't be using a rubber stamp to stamp all signatures, and you agreed that we need more than an hour,
Yeah, he is, I know.
and you agree that you need more than an hour. Yes, the bills are stamped with a stamp, sir. I've looked at them.
He agrees.
So I'm looking for more than an hour. You're not gonna allow the board to have transparency?
Talk to it, tell.
You only will do
tell-
whatever Larry tells you. You can't make this decision for yourself.
I just said I would recommend it to finance
I'm
because it's the
not-
process of the bills being.
Well, no, this is
I'm
policy. We
not-
wanna write a policy about transparency.
I'm not.
I'm trying to write a policy about
You
transparency.
seem to think that the board members have authority of some sort. We don't. It's you against I right now. There is no tiebreaker. There is no.
I understand, but you're
majority
saying the board
of
has
the
authority
policy
against
committee.
what, sir?
Basically, everything we talked about tonight is a moot point.
Why?
Because we don't have a majority
There's two of
to
us.
take it to the board.
We do. Unless you're just gonna
But I don't.
object to
agree.
everything I said,
Well,
regardless of
yeah,
its,
I think I'm going to.
which is called an ad hominem
Is
argument.
that the only way it's gonna get you to stop?
But kind of. So the reality is, do you think that we should have more than an hour of transparency for these bills?
I'm not answering these questions.
Okay, so I'm making a recommendation. If you're gonna abstain from that process, then it just passes through to the board.
I don't think.
As a
that's-
recommendation.
You were saying no.
I'm saying no. I'm saying.
You're
no.
saying no then?
Not
Okay,
abstention.
you
not
gave her
abstention.
advice to say no? She's following that
No.
advice?
He
I was
didn't
making
give
a
me advice.
clarification. because What
Clarification,
you're
appreciate
hearing
it.
is.
So I'd like to make the statement that I want the board individuals to be given at least 4 hours of access time to the invoices prior to the board's approval. Are you on board with that or not on board with that?
I'm not on board.
Not on
with
board
it.
with that.
No, it's
Is
no.
4 hours too many or is not enough?
I told you I want it taken to the whole board. I don't want this done in policy.
But is 4 hours too little or too much? You already gave us an hour. Is 4 hours too much or too little?
I'm not answering.
Not answer. Okay. Then the next thing I want to do